Welcome to the Rowdy.com Big Three post-Dover edition. Quite a race yesterday. Mild surprise in that Matt Kenseth won. Bassmasters, I'm Buzz Cutler. And let's listen to Matt Kenseth talking about his 2 wins that he now has versus getting into the chase via the top 10.
It was cool to be able to get a couple wins and be in that position right now. But, man, it's only May, and there's a lot of racing to do between now and then. And really my goal is to keep trying to win races and put ourselves in championship form.
So is Matt Kenseth a championship contender, Bass?
He's not in my top tier, but I think he's doing what Matt Kenseth does so well, which is puts himself in the mix on a regular basis. When Matt Kenseth is on his game, he finishes a lot in the top 10, a good bit in the top 5, and when circumstances work out in his favor, as they did yesterday with a 2-tire call at the end of the race, he can win races. And he can win multiple races. He's got 2 wins this year already. 2 other guys have 2 wins. Jimmy doesn't have 2 wins. Carl doesn't have 2 wins, but Matt does. Now, yesterday was a perfect example. Matt was not as fast as Jimmy. He was not as fast as Carl, but he was in the right place at the right time. He didn't give away anything, and he ended up winning the race. So I think it was a signature Matt Kenseth win. Would I put him as a favorite for the championship? No, I wouldn't put him ahead of Jimmy. I wouldn't put him ahead of Carl. I wouldn't put him ahead of Kyle, and I would not put him ahead of Kevin either.
Look, it's no accident, Bass, that the year he won the championship was the last year under the old system before the chase. The chase does not reward consistency like the year-long championship run used to.
It rewards consistency over 10 races, but what Jimmy's done is he's made it consistency with victories.
Right.
And that's a pretty tough combination.
I think when you're talking about Jimmy Johnson, when you're talking about Carl Edwards, when you're talking about Kyle Busch, I think you're going to have to get a victory or 2 in the chase to win the championship. I would be surprised if somebody won the championship in the chase era without wins. That's why I think Matt Kenseth, even though he has 2 victories, more than Jimmy, more than Carl, it's why I don't put him up there with the rest of those guys in terms of winning a championship.
Well, I agree, but again, if circumstance breaks just right, Matt Kenseth can win a bunch of races, as he did in 2002,
leading
the series
break
with 5
just right,
wins.
I could win the championship.
No, I don't think you could.
Oh, I could.
And Matt Kenseth is probably your 5th or 6th, somewhere in there in terms of favorites. So he's not in the back half. He's not too far down the list, but he's not in the top tier.
Issue number 2, the 48, the 99, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, they were the dominant cars yesterday throughout the race, yet faulty tire strategy at the end proved their undoing. Here's Bob Osborne, Carl Edwards' crew chief, on making that call for 4 tires versus 2.
You know, I felt like I had to do what was a safe call, not necessarily a risky call, and had no idea how the car would handle on 2. Up until that point, I think only 1 car had done 2 tires all race long, and they didn't fare very well. So it was just the volume of cars that took 2 that got us, not necessarily the fact that we didn't and 1 or 2 cars did.
Well, I think the thing you have to realize is this is the dilemma that the best cars have with a late caution in a race like this. They're waltzing off to win the race or contend for the win amongst themselves, and then a caution comes out. So they don't want to give away the advantage that they've had over the other cars all day, which is speed. Whereas the cars in the back, they don't have as much to lose, so they take a risk and put on 2 tires.
You know what I say to them? I say, give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Well, they did give it away by taking the 4 tires.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. I understand the logic, and you are in kind of a no-win position. It is a bit of a catch-22 if you're in the lead in that when that caution falls. But I think overall, in general, in the last year, crew chiefs are undervaluing track position. I mean, think about Mark Martin yesterday. Here's an interesting case because this is a guy who was the only guy who stayed out and took no tires. A bunch of guys took 2, a bunch of guys took 4. 1 guy passed him over 35 laps. 1 guy. That says to me that in general, yesterday, the crew chiefs were not valuing track position as maybe they should have.
But what is interesting to note, Bass, is that Kyle Busch took 4 tires, started that last restart in 12th, yet managed to drive his way to 4th, something that Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards were unable to do. They were not really able to improve their position in the way Kyle Busch did. Now, did Kyle Busch have a better car? Well, not substantially better.
Where did Kyle Busch start on the restart?
He was 12th, so that means he would have been on the
outside.
Okay.
So I think that's the thing you have to realize is in this era of NASCAR racing where the cars are so close, the restarts become absolutely critical to picking up positions because a lot of times you have 2 or 3 laps after the restart to make up ground and then you kind of get stuck, which is exactly what we saw Kyle Busch do yesterday. he's very good on those restarts. So you have to take advantage of the restarts, and a lot of that sometimes is the luck of where you happen to be. Are you in the lane that moves or in the lane that doesn't move?
I'll tell you something else that might come into it. I think Jimmy Johnson tends to still, even though Kyle Busch is so much more mature, Jimmy Johnson perhaps tries to take the broader view and says, okay, top 10, I'm cool with that. Chad Knaus even came on the radio and said, let's get the top 10, whereas Kyle Busch might say, no, I'm not complacent. I'm not comfortable just sticking in 10th. I want to get as much as I can, and he might be a little bit more aggressive at the end of the race.
Might be willing to take more of a risk than those other guys.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to issue number 3. Marcus Ambrose tied his career best performance on an oval in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, but to my mind, what's even more significant is he moves back into the top 20.
In 20th.
In 20th. He's gone in and out of that top 20 so far this season, but this puts him back in a position to earn a wild card chase berth.
Well, Ambrose is a perfect example of a wild card baby. Like this is a system made for him because he doesn't have the consistency, right, to crack the top 10. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Now he's learning. He's a very, very talented driver. Wouldn't surprise me to see him win on an oval as soon as this year. But his real bread and butter right now is going to be the road courses. Should have won at Infineon last year. So it's a classic case of a guy being able to hang in the top 20, just enough consistency to hang in the top 20, and maybe get a road course win. Maybe he lucks into an oval win or has a great day like he had yesterday and things break just right and he gets an oval win, or he sweeps the road courses, something like that. Or maybe even just one win gets you in. So I think Ambrose is, and Juan Montoya, who looks like maybe the top 10 isn't going to be his destiny this year. He slipped a bit in recent weeks. That's what the road courses, it just makes the road courses that much more interesting this year.
Right now, and I know we've got a lot of racing left to go until New Hampshire, but right now, if you look at positions 11 through 20, only one guy has a victory, and that's Jeff Gordon.
Right.
There are no other winners in 11th through 20th. Now, obviously, you would think, okay, Denny Hamlin, he's in 13th right now. He could probably get a victory at 2nd Martinsville or at one of the Poconos. You would put him down as a potential winner there. So it's probably going to all change.
Well, if he wins at Martinsville,
right
it
now,
ain't going to matter because it's in the chase.
Right.
Pocono will have 2 shots at it.
But right now, if Marcus Ambrose can win on a road course, he and Jeff Gordon get those wild card berths.
That's right. That's right. So I think that, and I think, again, Montoya and Ambrose, the road course has just become more interesting this year because of the wild card. These guys don't have the consistency. At least Ambrose doesn't have the consistency yet to make top 10 a realistic place in the standings for him.
All right, we've got one more piece of business to
yes,
do
we
before
do.
we go.
I'm getting my coin.
This week's giveaway to whoever selected the race winner is a Rowdy shirt signed by Hall of Famer Bobby Allison.
Okay.
2 guys picked the 17, Jonathan and Dominic.
Okay, Jonathan and Dominic.
We're going to flip the coin.
Your fate rides on this coin.
We're going to flip the coin to see who gets the Bobby Allison signed Rowdy shirt. Flip it. Flip it.
All right, so who's who, though? We got to say first. Heads is Jonathan, tails is Dominic.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Flipping.
Heads is Jonathan.
Is that what I said?
Tails is Dominic.
Okay. It is tails.
Dominic.
You
are the proud
Thank your lucky
recipient
coin.
Of the
Jonathan, sorry, dude. Sorry. I wish you'd have won that.
But good job picking the 17.
But good job picking the 17. And good for you, Dominic. That has been your Rowdy.com Big 3 for today. Do join us at Rowdy.com. Lots going on there. We got forums. We got blogs. We got these fine videos and our daily podcast. Until next time, I'm Bass. He's Cutler. Farewell.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.